All right, here we are on day 3, the final day of putting all of this together. So here's our example. Once again, this is what I had used. I talked about the 5 cuts that just makes it easy to fold it over. Here's something wild and crazy we used, something pretty simple. These note pages I did not print on the back side, but I just let the pattern sit inside here. I closed it and then I just added a piece of elastic here. You can use ribbon or anything else you want. I'm going to reuse it for this one. I'm going to put this one aside. Now all the tools I'm going to need are right here in front of me. I have a little bucket where I keep everything. I have my glue. This is glitter glue that dries clear. And of course I have my spatula here that's going to make nice crisp corners when I need them. I have a pair of scissors in here and everything else I could possibly want. It's in my way right now, so I'm just going to push it out of the way. And of course I have my roller if I need it. That's going to go back in my bucket. All right, let's grab all of these pieces. Here's the ones where we had it draw notes. I put it on a plain piece so I could use both sides for notes. So I'm just going to put that group aside. Now this is the flower I had chosen ahead of time. I have quite a few of these. I did a print then cut, and as you can see we've got quite a few of those. I'm going to put those aside, and of course I want to put aside our tie for the outside. Now let's get into all of the parts and pieces we should have. We should have a large pocket. That's this one. 2 smaller pockets. We have our 2 inside pieces, so it's plain on one side and pattern on the other. And then we have our pen holder right here, and of course our book cover. And I am going to show you what I chose, a really wild cover for the outside. So this is a lot of fun to do. Now we have 5 score lines down the middle, and it's fairly easy because what I want to do is just with those score lines, I'm just going to roll them. And what happens with them, I don't want them exact, but I am going to pinch them together here. So each of those score lines comes out and it makes a nice rounded edge. Now, if you've never done this before, this is perfect for anything that's really thick. Instead of 1 score line, you put 5, and it works out extremely well. Now I can see those on the inside. As you can see, it makes a nice round side with it. All right, that's all I need to do for the cover. Now for the inside, because I picked pretty plain in here, it's not pattern. What I want to do is I have a darker color which I could put here, or I could turn it out. Now I have for my pockets another pattern paper, or I can do a plain color on the outside. So now I have some choices of exactly what I want to do. So let's just take a look. I can either go this way, or I can go the darker color here and use the rose on the inside. Now when I cover this over, if I take a look, I think I'm going to go with the plain and this. That makes perfect sense. I like plain. So what I want to do now is to grab my glue. I'm just going to put some dots around the edge here. Now remember, this glues pretty tightly. Just little dots. I don't need a ton. I'm going to put a few in the middle because we're going to have something glued on top. So let's just turn that over. Now here's the harder part, because you have to know where that last score line is, which is right there. You kind of want to center it as much as possible, just as long as you get even edges. And once you've got one of them down like this, it's going to be easier to do the one on the other side. Same thing. Just going to grab some dots of glue around the edge here. Want too much glue. This one does not warp this paper. Get a little extra squeeze here. Just a few extra dots in the center. Move that to the side. And I kind of want to have a little small piece like this, top bottom. So what I want to do is kind of eyeball having it approximately even at the top and the side. Looks almost like I could push it up maybe just a tiny bit. That looks pretty good, so let's just smooth that down. So now I have my book coming together. All right, so we are now ready to start putting the pockets in place. It's actually one thing I want to do. I'm just going to pull this up. I forgot to put this piece in. I'm going to use this as the pattern piece. I'm just going to slide it underneath here. That's just to hold the pen. I'm going to put my finger underneath as I glue it into place. Sorry about that part of it. Just want to have enough room that the pen can go in. So let me grab my pen. Make sure it will fit. Now I know that I've got that in the right place, the right height. Okay, let me grab my pen out of there. I'm just going to add the glue along the edge here. So I don't put things down solidly because it's, there we go. And I've got that solid piece in there. I'm just going to add a little extra glue in here. So I want things coming apart. This dries clear, so don't worry if you get a little overrun on it. All right, let me just make sure my pen still fits, and it does. So now I want to add some extra, it looks like it glued okay here, but it's just a little gap here. So I just want to get that cleaned up. Put a little extra underneath here too. All right. Okay, now we're looking good. We have the pen in place. Now let me just move this up here for now. We want to start working on the nice little pieces that are going to go through on here. The nice little pattern. It's got a plain on the back. You can use the plain if you want. Now this is a pocket. So you're going to have to remember, in a pocket, you are going to have two sides. So you're going to have one that sticks up like this and the other one that comes down, and this is the piece that will get glued down onto here. Now it's going to be on all three sides for all of these. Now I use my fingers mostly to do these. Let's see. Get the glue. Let's see, there it is, right there. And the second piece goes down in behind. So I think what I'm going to do is grab my little spatula. Let's get some crisp ones going here. Same thing with this one. All right, so this is our larger one. It's going to go here. We're going to be gluing this in place right here, and then our notes, of course, are going to fit in. But what I want to do is test before I glue, just to make sure that we don't reach the top. Okay, so that looks like perfect placement right about here. I'm going to, with this large one, we'll get to the small ones in a moment, is what I want to do, I'm just going to hold my finger there. What I want to do is add glue to just this one piece right now. I've got the perfect height. I want to center it. But I only want to get the bottom piece right now. And I just want to make sure it's straight. There we go. It looks pretty straight. I'm just going to let this dry in place while we fold our other two. The reason I'm leaving the bottom first is because I don't want things moving around when I'm going ahead with the other pieces. So let's find our score lines here. There's the first one. And of course we'll do the last piece at the same time. Okay, so now we've got this one getting ready to have the sides glued, but we won't do that until we do these two pieces. Now, the biggest thing here is the same thing. We want kind of the bottom in place, but we want to take some of these cards that we're going to be using, we'll take about half of them, and make sure that we can fit them in. Going to do the same for the top, so we have a general idea that, you know, we will have them top and bottom. They're going to fit. They're not going to overlap the top. So I can get that down. I can bring this down just a little bit and have a general idea of where they're going to be placed. Now I'm going to do the bottom first. Let me just grab this out of here, and of course that's the bottom piece here. I'm going to go fairly close to the bottom with this one. Pretty close. Get it pretty straight. And make sure that we are kind of aligned in the center and straight. All right, that looks pretty good. Now for this one, I have to make sure that I'm going to be close to the top with it. So I'm just going to move this out of the way. Going to add my glue here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a set of this and just push it in, and then just give us some room. General idea. Looks pretty good here. I'm just gently placing it. And I want to make sure it's not going over the top, and it is not. So now I can make sure it is straight. Let me get these out of the way. Straight looks pretty even across here. Okay, so now I'm just going to push these down. Make sure we're good with that. Now just move our documents out of place. Now it's time to put the sides down. So I'm going to now glue the sides into place. It folds in straight, and this one's out. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to let it, nope, don't move things. Don't push down too hard. Okay, those will adhere in a moment. I'm going to do the same thing with these on the extra flap at the end. Now I'm going to push this in and down and in and down, and I want to fold those in and push it down so it looks pretty darn straight. Okay, and of course the last one here, fold it in and down, and push it so it is straight, then push it down. There we go. Now I just have to let that dry for a moment or two. Our pen piece should be okay, so I'm just going to grab my red pen here, stick it in there. Now we are ready to then, let me put the lid on my glue, just give it a little puff and close it. Well, let's put our notes inside here. Looks gorgeous. Let's take half of these. Hopefully this is dry enough. I can just slide those in. You can do far more than the 5 that I've done, but you can add 10, 15, 20. You can add as many as you want. And if you really want to, oops, I should put it sideways, put it in this way, you can then, instead, you can add like a pack of Post-it notes in here. So those work as well. So now we have it all ready to go. And the last little piece is, of course, we're going to take a piece of ribbon or whatever you want for a closure and put it around. And now we have our beautiful little stationery package. Here's 2 of them. I hope you enjoyed this countdown project. It was so much fun to put together.